The quantity of data that is stored in a data warehouse environment is growing at an unprecedented rate. However, not all of the data in a data warehouse is equally valuable to an organization. In general, the most recent data in a warehouse is much more likely to be accessed or updated than older data. By using the multi-temperature database storage feature in DB2 10.1, you can prioritize queries based on data accessed, ensure efficient resource allocation to the queries, and allow effective use of multiple tiers of storage devices. We begin this demonstration by creating two storage groups with dedicated storage paths. A table space storing first quarter data uses storage groups with slower storage devices, whereas a table space storing second quarter data uses storage groups with faster storage devices. A range partition table is created using both table spaces. Data will reside on the appropriate table space based on the date range. An application is used to simulate two types of query transaction activities, namely first quarter sales transactions and second quarter sales transactions. The first type of transaction accesses first quarter data that is considered low priority data. The second type of transaction accesses second quarter data that is considered high priority data. The bottom panel shows details about the workloads running in the database. So how can we favor critical business operations? You can use DB2 workload management objects to show a bias towards critical business operations. All connections to a database are by default associated with a default user workload. This default workload maps the connections to the default user server's superclass. Isolation of critical activities, such as sales transactions, allows you to apply workload management controls to only a subset of work on the system. Create a user-defined service superclass and workload so that the connections from the simulator will be associated with the new workload. All activities from the simulator connections will then map to the new service subclass. Notice the superclass has been created with activities running in it. How do we identify operations that access business-critical data? In DB2 version 10, you can assign data tags to storage groups. Assigning data tag values provides a mechanism to identify work that touches data in specific table spaces or storage groups. Now work can be treated differently using workload management controls. This demonstration considers data with a lower data tag as high priority data and will give more system resources to activities touching that higher priority data. How do we differentiate workload priorities and dedicate system resources accordingly? You can create service subclasses and apply resource controls. In DB2 workload management, one way to differentiate between high priority and low priority work is to map the work to different service classes and then apply different resource controls. High priority work can be mapped to a service subclass with little or no resource controls applied to it. Lower priority work can be mapped to a service subclass with stricter resource controls applied to it, such as a concurrency threshold. Back to the interactive demonstration, here are the statements to create the service subclasses, the concurrency controls, and event monitors. In addition, work classes and work actions are created to map work to different service classes based on the data the work is expected to touch. Once the statements are completed successfully, the service subclasses are created and activities are mapped to them. First quarter sales transactions throughput is reduced because activities touching first quarter data are mapped to a service class with a concurrency threshold. This controls only one activity and can run in that service class at a time. This reduces the resource used by the lower priority work, making it available for higher priority work. Throughput of second quarter sales transactions, on the other hand, is increased. How do we limit resources to data that is no longer hot so that newer, hotter data gets more serious? With multi-temperature storage, you can move table space with cooler data to a storage group that has a low priority data tag. Assume it is now the third quarter of the year. The same application is used to simulate third quarter sales transactions. As the third quarter transactions throughput ramps up, extra workload is added to the system. This causes both first and second quarter transactions throughput to go down slightly. The third quarter simulation will continue to run while we learn how easy it is to meet tier service level agreements. As illustrated here, third quarter data are stored in a storage group with a high priority data tag. At this point, both the second and third quarter transactions are running in a service subclass with no resource restrictions applied to it. To devote more resources to third quarter transactions and to limit resources to second quarter transactions, you simply move the second quarter table space to the lower temperature storage group. Second quarter transactions will run in the same service class as the first quarter sales transactions with the concurrency threshold applied to it. Notice that the storage group containing second quarter data is stored in SG high perf, which has a data tag of 1, meaning high priority. Once the alter statement is completed successfully, second quarter data is moved to storage group SG low perf. The storage group now has data tag 3, indicating low priority. In the throughput graphs, you can see the expected result. Both first and second quarter sales transaction throughputs have decreased. Third quarter sales transaction throughput, on the other hand, has increased. You have seen how to use the DB2 multi-temperature storage solution to identify and favor critical business operations, differentiate workload priorities based on temperature of data, and then dedicate system resources accordingly. All of the above allow effective use of multi-tier storage devices. For more information on DB2, visit www.ibm.com/db2.